sold everything I had, which was not much, a fish tank. Luckily, I had relatives here that gave me a roof over my head. The frequent flyer miles that I had accrued got me my first car. I was able to sell them back then.
Stop it.
And that gave me my car to be able to get around town. I do speak multiple languages. They said, hey, we're going to start having you travel around the world so you can start promoting it. And I was one of the first 2 students to study in the United States.
There's a lot around Las Vegas. Can you give me 4, 5, 6 different places you would say you got to go see? Hey, everybody, I'm Chad Taylor with Vegas Podcast. And today I have another special guest, which every episode I'm going to have a special guest because I don't have anything other than special guests on here. But today we have with us Robert Graff. And I think you need to know a little bit about Robert Graff. If you live in Nevada or you're from Las Vegas, if you don't already know him, after this you will. Robert.
Hey, Chad, how are you doing? My gosh, look at this set. Look at this location, Vegas Podcast. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, and now that I have you into it, it's perfected.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks so much for the
Perfect
opportunity.
So, Robert, I know, have you ever done a podcast before?
No, this is my first time.
Okay, so we got to let all the nerves go?
Yeah, let the nerves go a bit.
Yeah.
I'm doing all right, actually.
Here's
right
the good thing. This is what I learned. I've been practicing this for about 2 years.
Got it.
One of these days I'll get better at it.
Yep.
But what I have learned is on one hand, nobody really cares what you say. And on the other hand, some people really like the information that you provide for them.
Good.
Right?
Good.
So part of the reason that you're here is because of who you are, number one. We had a chance to hang out a little bit some time back, and I really took a liking to your personality. I think you're
Are you talking the
human.
time that you and I ended up playing poker and you like wiped me out when I showed up at a joint friend's house and everything like that? And that created that special bonding time together? Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, typically if I take someone's money, I try and be overly nice.
Oh,
sure.
got it.
Because there has to be the next time that we play poker. Mm-hmm. And I won't be invited back to that game, will I?
Well, you never know. It's not us who's planning it. So, but yeah.
It's possible.
You got to show up. It gives me a chance to win back my money, by the way.
You know, we're in Nevada, and those fun home games for tortilla chips, those are enjoyable. That's when you get a chance to really get to know people.
Yeah, on that last get-together, it was kind of nice because here, we're all locals and, so many of us are tied in the industry in some capacity. And to be able to see us maybe not on in our own special space and, you're making your own drinks and you're picking up your own tortillas. And a couple have had their kids there too, which was kind of pretty cool and everything.
Yes,
so
that was fantastic.
It was a great night.
It's when you talk about the hospitality industry as a whole, right? There's what do we have, about 300,000 hospitality workers in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but there's quite a few. And well, if you think like hospitality in general, I mean, I worked for the U.S. travel industry that oversees, all aspects of tourism and everything. And I was on their particular board. But I remember some of the stats they were coming up with a few years ago. 6 out of 10 people are employed indirectly in some capacity in the hospitality industry. So
in the United States or
in
Nevada?
the United States. So it's probably even higher here in Nevada, say 7 out of 10 people.
We could even go to 8 out of 10 possibly.
Well, yeah. I mean, you kind of think like we're so unique. We got 24-hour grocery stores. We've got everything is 24 hours. You want to get your dry cleaning done, there's places you could get it done 24 hours a day. So it's a very unique situation where we live in.
Yeah, so they say New York doesn't sleep, but I would typically argue that Las Vegas actually doesn't sleep.
It just kind of amazes me. I've been in town for quite a while now. It's been like a good 25 years, and you keep learning different things going on. I remember one of the things, like specifically when it came down to these casino business, I didn't realize that the carpets are a special grade of carpet that they're using because there's so much traffic coming on. They can't just like suddenly remove it. It's a special grade of carpet that they have to use. Their air conditioning systems have special ventilation system. So we're in a city that is just absolutely incredible. Just raises the bar over and over.
You're not wrong. It's like we have Gucci carpets. That's the best thing. I'm going to have to look into that now that you said that. That's fantastic. So before we get into anything,
sure.
First thing I want to ask is, who are you? Who is Robert? Where are you from? How did you get here? Give me a little backstory. Oh my gosh!
So where do I start?
We need a quick one. Like, where were you born? What's your home state?
All right, so I'm one of these big mixtures. So I was born overseas. So father's French, naturalized American.
Okay.
Mother's half American, half Russian. born in Lebanon and grew up in Greece.
Wow.
So high school, college in Greece, moved back to Indiana. Now that was culture shock, when you're living all around the world. Yeah. So it all showed up. I had some long lost relatives out here in Vegas and decided to pop up and see them. And before I knew it, I'm like, oh my gosh, the 7-Eleven closed down where I was back home. And I'm walking into this town 24 hours, everything's available. I mean, it was just like, oh my gosh, like a kid in a candy store.
Right.
So sold everything I had, which was not much, a fish tank, Luckily I had relatives here that gave me a roof over my head. And I had this, you may not know, I had frequent flyer miles because, when I lived in Greece, I joined these different frequent flyer programs, and little did I know that the frequent flyer miles that I had accrued got me my first car. I was able to sell them back then.
Stop it.
And that gave me my car to be able to get around town. So thanks to this airline called TWA back then, Teeny Weeny Airlines.
Right.
So that gave me, because I think they started me on a frequent flyer program at a really young age, and I moved to Vegas, didn't have a pot to piss in, and I had some frequent flyer miles.
That's crazy. And so you were able to sell them.
And I drove my VW Rabbit Champagne Edition. That got me around town, and so got into that. Worked at the MGM Hotel, concierge guest services.
So what year approximately was this that you started working at MGM?
That was in the mid to late 80s. When I showed up there.
Got it.
MGM was concierge guest services, so they needed somebody there to deal with a lot of the tourists that were all coming through. So our job was to book limos, set up almost everything that the guests needed, reservations, trips, Grand Canyon trips, the shows, the tours, and everything. So so that was a frontline customer service right there. And at that time, I think people thought that we actually landed on the top of the Vegas hotels, and we shuttled in by helicopter, came all the way down, worked, and then they shuttled us back to Los Angeles. People didn't really realize that there were people who actually lived in town, and our job was to take care of all the different tourists.
Right.
So.
And back then, you didn't live far from the Strip.
Yeah, no, not far at all. I mean, I was up on I was up on Flamingo and Rainbow, and that was the edge of town.
Rainbow was the edge of town.
Yeah, that was the very end. And
Henderson was there, but
Henderson was oh my God, that's another city so far away. I mean, you'd have this little stint in the dark before you'd show up to Henderson, and now we're all connected. It's just like one massive town.
Right. All right. So MGM, then what?
So from MGM, it was concierge guest services. Then there was a company that specialized in sightseeing. That was one of my clients called Scenic Airlines. They operated trips to the Grand Canyon National Parks, and
an amazing company that I think is still in business.
Yeah, they're still in business, believe it or not. So they had at one point they had a fleet of around 50, 60 airplanes doing tours to the national parks. They were one of the largest sightseeing companies just off of Tropicana. They needed help with international sales, and I had no clue what I was doing, with the exception that I do speak multiple languages, and they really harped into that one, and they said, hey, we're going to start having you travel around the world so you could start promoting us. And so from then to various particular companies in the aviation side, and at one point Delta Airlines as well. I oversaw like sightseeing, attractions. I worked for different companies like Bindlestiff Tours doing national park attractions. I remember a whole little stint. So aviation, ground transportation,
tourism, attractions.
Pretty much, yeah. So seeing the town grow too.
You've seen it grow. And back then there was maybe 10 outdoor recreation companies at that time?
I would say, I think you're being a bit more generous, yeah.
And now
we had the Las Vegas shows. That was really big on this trip.
That's true. What we had. I ran into a gentleman here in town that was around at that time that I had the opportunity to meet. I'm looking forward to getting to know him a little bit more, but his name's Dick Feeney.
Yeah.
Do you know?
I do know Dick.
Yeah, I got a chance to come across him, have a short conversation with him, and he's got some stories and some past here in town as well, and still has some shows in town, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. What landed you in the hospitality business? Like, how did you end up there? Like, as a person, did you go to school for this, or was it you?
No, not really. Education background and everything fell into, business management, administration, and everything. And I think and there were the minors in languages. So I think what happened working at front desks, you're trying to get your foot in and everything. At that time, the MGM Hotel, which is ironic, where I see the building there became Bally's. It had a name change to Bally's, and now it's called Horseshoe. But they had a very strong international clientele. And so one of the advantages, I speak 7 languages, and I was able to interact with.
Let's go back to this. Did you say you speak 7 languages?
I do.
And not just dialects?
No,
but
not
7
dialects.
languages?
We're talking 7 languages. Yeah, some are slightly better than others. But
tell me, do tell.
So English, Arabic, French, Italian, Russian, oh my God, I know I'm missing one. Oh, Greek. I lived in Greece for 7 years as well. And I studied Romanian. So my claim to fame is at Indiana University, they had a foreign language program. And I was one of the first 2 students to study Romanian in the United States. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, that's where that came around. Not that you get to use it that often, but
no, but that makes you
it was kind of interesting, and I wanted like a bridge between those Roman-based languages and the Slavic type influence. And I looked on a map. I'm like, oh, Romanian. Hey, I'll be one of the first 2 students to learn that language. And so that's where it all came about. I think when you start with a few living in different countries overseas, and then your ear gets accustomed to it. Yeah.
That is, like, if anybody ever asked me again if I'm coming to their event or their party and I should bring something or someone with me, you're going to be the first one I call.
All right. You're on, man. Absolutely.
Especially in Las Vegas, because there are so many different people here and there are a lot of different language and even dialects. Like, amazing. That to me is one of the most impressive things I've ever heard.
I think that's one of the parts that also helped me get into the business, because I remember, there were a lot of tourists coming in here, and, you had conventions like CS and everything in town. And I remember there was a very big French company, I think at that point, called Alcatel, and they were buying out some U.S. company, and they were broadcasting at these conventions, and they needed simultaneous translators. And Vegas only had 2 French speakers, and I was one of them. And they would have to fly in the translators from LA, California, to come in and to help do that. And of course, we used to do like Grand Canyon, and that's what led into the Grand Canyon tour business. Can you help out tourists visiting the national parks, and can you help them with languages? And then the airport, hey, we need, in case there's guests that needed assistance at the airport, they had like a little language checklist on who they would contact in Vegas to help families that might be stranded, or if they had communication difficulties. So, so that's probably who would have thought that languages got me into tourism at that time?
I'm blown away right now, because I can think of 1,000 things I want to say, but your dedication, number 1. Number 2, what an extremely comforting feeling for a tourist to show up in Las Vegas and show up to a counter or to a desk or somewhere and have someone speak their language.
It's a blessing having family living overseas, exposing you and forcing you to assimilate with different cultures. And the greatest thing is when a tourist comes in and they look at you, or they may see a name badge or something, and then you suddenly turn to them in their language, and they're struggling and they're trying to find the right word to use, and you turn around to them and you say, is this what you're looking for? Can I help you with this? And they're looking at you and they're like floored. I mean, just this weekend, I was in Red Rock. Right. Okay, so I had some friends coming into town. I'm touring them around. The local things that people don't really see, what I'm saying, where to go in town. So went up to Red Rock, and I was there, and there was, of course, I took a picture of my friends, because they asked me, they want pictures of the Red Rocks behind them. And of course, right there is some tourists, and say, would you mind taking a picture of us? Well, of course, I'm in the tourism industry. I'm like, oh, of course, sure. So first question, I'm like, I'm kind of detecting a little accent. I'm like, where are you from? And they go, we're from Switzerland. So my next question, what part of Switzerland? Because, they got, there's a French-speaking part, a German-speaking part, an Italian-speaking part. So I was like ready with 2 of the languages to kind of reach out to them. And they said, oh, the French-speaking part. So I turned around and went straight into French, like, hey, would you want me to take your picture? What else? Or how did you get here? Where did you come? And they were just blown away. It's kind of... you break that ice, you make them feel a lot more comfortable, and it was just fascinating to hear about them. We just flew into San Francisco. We had no idea what Vegas has to offer, and now we're in their parks, and they just like opened up. I'm like, next thing it was like a 10-minute discussion on what else should we do? Where else should we go? Yeah.
And you had all those answers for them as well.
Of course, yeah.
So you just taught me something new about Switzerland also. You said there's 3 different areas. I thought Switzerland, as I grew up, was always, and again, I'm naive to world travel.
Right.
I know Las Vegas.
Yep.
I know the West Coast.
Yep.
But that's about it. 3 different areas and 3 different languages in Switzerland.
In that little small country, because they're harvested right in between. So the ones closer to Italy, they speak Italian.
Is that why?
And the ones close, that's why if you go into the Lausanne area, they're the French influence. And then you have that German influence. But they also have their own language, which is called, I think, Swiss German, which is, they all understand. But they're very...
So then do tell me.
Yeah.
Where did the saying that we would always say that we didn't know what it meant, now we're going to know?
Right.
Well, I'm Switzerland in this.
Well, they're probably neutral because of, hey, I'm wondering if it's the whole banking industry side. They were neutral in right in World War II. They tried to stay out of everything. So
okay, so that's where that came from.
I think that's where that came from.
There's multiple, okay, but there's multiple
or
people
it could
involved.
be the fact that there were 3, areas that all came together right in the middle there, and they had to maintain some form of neutrality.
I think I have a much better understanding of who Robert is now. Even more so, actually more enjoyable. And
all right.
as an industry professional here in this town, there's a lot of us that are in the industry. Like you said, there's over 250,000 at least. Yeah. And I don't think we network a lot and we go around groups, but part of the Vegas podcast and what I was doing here was kind of trying to be a central location that was like a safe space where we could communicate as industry professionals with each other about like happenings in Las Vegas and what's going on and hear from the horse's mouth. Like I'm marketing the property for Lake Mead and Lake Mojave Adventures, right? And I'm going to talk about the boats and the houseboats and the ski boats, and I'm going to talk about the river rafting, Hoover Dam river rafting. I'm going to talk about all these things to help promote those properties because it's what I do for a living. The people that I have on and the guests like yourself are also in the industry and know best. And who doesn't want all the real information, right? So I'll have to ask you, is there any way we can touch on any of the stuff or who you are, what you do for a living?
Sure. So my current job, believe it or not, I mean, full disclosure, I work for the state tourism office. It's called Travel Nevada. My job is to make sure people keep coming here, but more so than Vegas, just to get out and experience what else there is in the whole state of Nevada.
Yeah.
So
you have
I live here in Vegas, but when I tell you when I was up in Red Rock, that was with friends. When I'm up in Bonnie Spring Ranch, this is kind of a new gig, I'd say, in the last 2 years. And it's kind of fascinating to be able to see Nevada in a whole different light. Before I was globetrotting around the world, taking care of international offices and everything. And then now you have a bit of this, stepping back a bit and looking at what Nevada has to offer. And I'm kind of excited in this new area that I'm in.
This new role. How long have you been with Travel Nevada?
Maybe 2.5 years.
Okay. Yeah.
So right after COVID, they reopened up their offices and they needed somebody here in the South.
Right.
And to be able to really help focus on our rural communities. And I'm like, perfect. I remember showing up in an interview with a suit and tie because that's kind of where you turn around. They said, well, what about a rural community? I'm like, believe me, I know how to dress down. You know what I'm saying? I'm really a down-to-earth person at heart. But
So there's the LVCVA that is essentially, the old saying goes, is putting heads in beds, right? Is to bring tourism to Las Vegas and fill up the hotels, and they're funded by the hotel stuff. And then Travel Nevada is kind of leans more into the outdoor, rural, recreational areas of Nevada, we'd say.
I think the makeup, if you look at it, there are 3 entities in the States. There's one called LVCVA, the Las Vegas Convention Visitors Authority. There's the RSCVA, which is the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority up north.
That's right.
Okay. And then you have Travel Nevada. And what we all have in common is we're all reliant on the room tax. We use the room tax for tourism promotion. But our specific mandates as Travel Nevada my job is to get you beyond Vegas, beyond, glad you're coming in here, you're extending your stay, but what else is there to do in the 7th largest state in the nation?
And 60 million acres.
Yes.
That's the number.
Yeah.
That's a lot of acres.
Yeah. 60 million acres. Well, I'm not sure about that one, but I do know it's like 86% is public lands, open. So that kind of ties in with the whole outdoors theme and, the new messaging that you're seeing coming out right now from the State Tourism Office is to get a little out there to explore a bit more what Nevada has to offer.
Yeah. And like
your activities, by the way. You know what I'm saying? You got these Hoover Dam adventures, amazing ones, by the way. That postcard tour I did, phenomenal.
It is. It's celebrating 41 years.
Yeah. Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Wow.
41 years. And we actually have a raft pilot there with us, Kathleen.
Okay.
She's 30 plus years there as a raft pilot. When you want to talk about knowledge of the
Wow.
river, it's amazing. So you mentioned the three entities.
Yeah.
And that's super important to the state, to us. It's public knowledge.
Right.
You know, there's locals and there's tourists.
Right.
The locals like to enjoy the outside as well, right? Just as much as the tourists or the visitors do. And just for a plug for
Right.
Travel Nevada,
Yeah.
I don't know what you got over there for leadership or what's going on right now, but you guys are crushing the marketing
Hey,
game.
well, thank you. Hey, those are my marketing colleagues. Hats off to them. They do an absolute amazing job. I mean, with their campaigns and everything. You should one day check out our website. I mean, it's just travelnevada.com. Phenomenal.
Yes, the website's over the top. So I would say to anybody, if you're a
Yeah.
local Las Vegas resident and you want to know what your state has to offer,
Yep.
You go to Travel Nevada. Don't think it is a tourism or a guest place. If you are a local, go to Travel Nevada and check out the website. It is top notch. It's one of the top 10 in my book for sure. And
Appreciate it.
yeah, it's amazing. Not only does it list, but it builds itineraries for you as well. So something that we're seeing kind of trending and happening these days is, you know, the human condition, if you will. Sometimes we just like being told what to do because it's easier. We don't have to think. And I've noticed that you guys have kind of leaned into that and building some itineraries and showing the things that you can do. And you built like the 10 best road trips to take. I mean, these are great things you've done.
It's kind of fascinating. I've hopped on these road trips, and here, you know, when you're turning around and say, I'm a resident in town for over 25 years, and I didn't have a chance to experience what Nevada has to offer, it's been phenomenal, Chad. Vegas, Nevada has been really good to me, and to be able to indirectly give back and to work with our rural communities, educate them, to help develop tourism infrastructure, create economic development into some of our areas that want it. It is amazing to see some of the hidden gems, the state parks that we have. I mean, I just went up to a place called Cathedral Gorge. That was last year. And I'm like, are you serious? None of my friends, I was even talking to my friends locally. I'm like, had no idea it existed. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it to me, and I came from the national park background space, working with Grand Canyon, Bryce Canyon, and everything. I mean, if you're looking for unique small parks to go to, if you're looking for an opportunity of RVing or camping and getting out there, amazing. And then right next door, there was a wildlife refuge. And so I popped on over to have a look at that. And, you know, it's amazing when you start putting like, oh, I need to see a bit more what's happening in a state that I've been here for so long. And I'm like, a wildlife refuge. I didn't realize that there are migratory birds that come all the way from up north in like Alaska. They make their way down to like Fallon, Nevada.
You have bats. We have bats that do that too.
Yeah, I mean, all the way down to South America.
So you're truly in your space then. You love this.
Yeah, you know what? Being able to connect with people and showcasing my state, you know, this is the reason why I came here. The opportunities it created for me, and to be able to let people know. You know, at the beginning, you kind of turn around and say, you don't want too many people to know about it because they're all going to want to move here. Well, they're moving anyway,
Yes,
you know, so which is great. But you know, there's so much to see.
Yeah.
So much to see. out here.
We're approaching. I spent some time out in the lake yesterday, and you forget how big these things are.
Yeah.
So let's can we do a couple like Q&As, like some answers for guests? Like, so somebody wants to know kind of outside Nevada stuff. So I'm an outdoor rec person, as you know. This is how we met. But there's a lot that I don't know, and I want to learn some. So when you travel, or you come to when you come to Nevada,
Right.
there's a lot around Las Vegas. Can you give me 4, 5, 6 different places that right off the bat that you'd say, if you come to Las Vegas, you land, you want to get a hotel room and you want to take a day trip, grab a car, go drive here, rent a car, do something.
Right.
Where are some places that you would say you got to go see?
This is stuff that a lot of people don't know about, which is the hidden gems that we have. Okay, so one of my all-time favorite, like I'm a an alien buff. Okay, so anything to do with aliens, if you look at like some real old maps in Nevada, like the military maps, Nevada was broken up in areas. I can't remember how many, but there's a couple hundred or more. And the interesting thing about it, there was a place on the map called Area 51.
I've
and
heard
it
of that one.
exists. And it wasn't until, I mean, you have a lot of tourists coming in here, and exposés have been done, and that's where our spaceships are kept, and military technology and everything.
Right.
Yeah, there is a place called Area 51. It's hyper restricted and everything. But what's fascinating, and I think a lot of people don't know this, but maybe locals know this, and so here's for your audience, anyone who might be coming to town, or even people who live here who don't know about it.
Right.
If you're outside of the Luxor Hotel, and if you were to look at McCarran Airport,
Right.
you'll see like there's 7 planes. They're like 737s, and I come from an aviation background, so
Right.
I was
You
at
know what
that
plane it
airport
is.
and everything. I know
Yes.
it. Yeah, they're all white with a red stripe. It is the only airline that has 0 markings whatsoever in the United States. But they have an amazing parking lot, and you can see it starts real early in the morning. Over 1,000 or more scientists, engineers, and everything all show up in the parking lot. And they're on this shuttle, nonstop
Right.
shuttle that go right in the middle of our state into this restricted area. So
Right. How many acres is that? How many acres do you think that takes?
I don't
up,
know how big it is there, but what I find interesting is you can hop on something called the extraterrestrial highway out of Vegas. And when I hopped on it and went in there, and I mean, I'm not going into Area 51,
Right.
but it's like, get this, alien museums, alien gift shops, alien inn, alien motels, spaceships on the side of the road. I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, and you kind of feel you're reliving this as you're on
Right.
these highways going there. So when you asked like what I would do, I
Area
thought,
51.
that's for me.
Alien
I love that
highway.
whole alien theme.
All right.
There's
Give me number 2.
one I've done personally was absolutely amazing. Like if you want to go up to like Tonopah, Nevada, that's like 3.5 hours away, and start by, there's if you're going up to Beatty, there's the International Car Forest. So imagine cars in the middle of
Goldfield.
nowhere. And Goldfield, exactly,
okay.
right, just outside of Goldfield.
Yeah.
That whole area. And you've got Rhyolite. Rhyolite is one of the most picturesque ghost towns ever. The most Instagrammable ghost town that you'd see, Rhyolite. That's where you want to go, take pictures and everything. So that whole area, these are great side trips that you can turn around and do, which are incredible. On my bucket list that I haven't gone to yet, but is on where I do want to go, is a place called, now, we have 2 national parks. So we got Death Valley that we share with California, and the former company that I worked for, we used to do day trips there and everything.
Correct.
But there's another one called Great Basin. Now, Great Basin is known for the oldest living tree in the world. It's there. It's protected. Now, they won't tell you which one it is, but they
Right.
built a whole national park, and it's one of our newest national parks. So that's on my bucket list to go up there. And there are amazing caves.
And dark skies.
And dark skies, exactly.
Yes.
They have that whole dark sky certification in the area there. So if you're into astronomy and everything, that's the place to go.
Right.
So
So then Ely. I don't think the local Las Vegas residents understand that it is 3.5 hours.
no, it's that's got to be a bit further for you to go all the way up from Vegas. You're talking from Vegas all the
Ely,
way to
4 hours?
Yeah, maybe 4.5, 4.5 or more. Yeah,
Okay.
5.
I keep driving through there to go up north
Right.
for work related
Right.
stuff. And I was driving through there last time, and I thought to myself, if I lived here and I was going to market this place, what would this be? And all it reminded me of was I thought this is the Aspen of Nevada for outdoor recreation.
Oh, wait, that's interesting. You would have a look at it and everything. Yeah.
That's how beautiful it is. When you
Okay.
get up there and you get up the hillsides and stuff,
Yep.
that place, and it gets you out of
Were
the
you doing
heat.
that in winter or in summer? I'm just curious when you
Both.
went up there. Okay.
Spring and fall, I prefer.
Okay.
But beautiful up there.
Yeah.
And what do you know what that big dam is up there, or whatever that construction
You know
is?
what? I haven't been that side. That side
Okay.
of the state, I haven't seen too much. But I just came back. I mean, I've done Tahoe, which is absolutely amazing.
Right.
That's outside of Reno, and I had an opportunity to be back up north around 3-4 weeks ago, and I had a chance to kind of go into some of our smaller towns like Minden, Gardnerville, and I mean, we're talking like Mayberry, Mayberry type towns, amazing streets, and
Virginia City.
Virginia City, exactly. Yeah,
Amazing.
an art scene that's going on. A pretty amazing stuff happening up north there.
Yeah.
Ely, I think if you're heading into that area there, besides access to Great Basin National Park, maybe if you want to head into Ely Elko there, I mean, they got the Ruby Mountains, which are spectacular. So maybe that's what you're
Yeah,
kind of
the Ruby
referring
Mountains
to.
and the lake. Yes.
Heading up there in the lake and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's-
there's quite a bit to do.
Get you
A lot
up
of
in-
railroad history too. They got the railroad museums up in Ely. So a lot of great stuff to see.
Ross, Ash, do you have any questions for Robert or anything that you feel you've learned something amazing? So Ross and
Yeah.
Ash do a lot of things, very talented, but they've only been around Vegas for a couple of years, and they're learning. So they're taking all these spots you're giving them, and they're going there, aren't you, Ross?
Yes.
With Starlink,
Yes,
so you can
absolutely.
continue
So I'm
working.
just kind of curious out of all of them, which one they sound more interested in? Are they more the
Which one did you
alien
like
type?
most, you
Which
guys?
one?
Oh, I love aliens. So
All
you're
right,
talking
that
about
kinda
the
got you. Yeah,
Janets.
that'd
just
be my favorite
ooh.
too.
There's two-sided aliens and the road trips.
Oh, the road trips. Okay.
Oh yes, the
Okay.
Rhyolite.
Interesting. Yeah.
You talking about ghost towns? That's also straight up my alley.
Okay, ghost town. Okay, I see your cell phone as you're pulling up. Ghost towns are over 600 ghost towns.
Oh my
in Nevada.
goodness. Yes.
600.
I mean, what are your top three that you can?
Well, I
Tell
think
us
make it
about.
to Rhyolite since you're in Vegas. We're going to get you out of Vegas to start. And then there's a lot along the way that you'll be able to experience. But that would be a great start for you guys, you know. And, you know, this is like something, while we're talking about it,
Yeah.
if you're looking at things, one thing that caught my attention, I did not realize that we have the largest wildlife
Refuge.
preserve
Yeah.
area that's located not far away from here. It started to protect the bighorn sheep, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, it is the largest after Alaska in the lower 48.
Is this on the way up to Pioche?
Not on the way, not necessarily on the way, but like, let's say if you're heading towards Mount Charleston.
Okay.
As you're heading up there, Ash Meadows and everything, as you're heading
Got
up
it.
there. Pretty spectacular. Yes, you can continue all the way up to Pioche. Yeah.
Got it.
What are your top three favorite outdoor activities in the state?
Top 3 outdoor activities. Oh, that's a tough one. There's so many. I got to say, you know, love making it down to Lake Mead. It's just a getaway. It's the water sports area, you know, being on the lake, phenomenal. Now, I'm not a rock climbing guy, but I know that one of the most amazing rock climbing destinations of the world. I'm talking to other rock climbers who say, did you realize Nevada has one of the top 5 rock? Well, apparently it's up at Red Rock and everything. Absolutely phenomenal. I love Red Rock to begin with. I'm an outdoors guy. I love the trails, going up Icebox Canyon and everything, just to escape the city. You know, you got
Hiker.
the city of lights, and next thing you know, you're in full nature. I mean, it's very grounding for me. I am a hiker. Yeah, like year before last, I did Angel Falls, and I really, you know, that was in, you know, California. Just always looking for different things to turn around and do. You know,
So
challenge
lake-
yourself.
so lake,
I'd probably
hiking-
go the lake. Red Rock, because these are like close nearby, and that's like where I normally take a lot of friends. You know what caught me off guard? Like if you like UTVs and ATVs and everything, there's an unbelievable amount of outdoor activities. Like you head on up to Mesquite, Nevada, and everything. I mean, it's like if you really want to go outdoors and just like be in full nature, and it's pretty phenomenal.
Right.
So I'd probably say that would be another one of my favorites. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, top 3 favorite hikes: Diamond Peak at Red Rock, Icebox Canyon. I'd probably go all the way out to Hoover Dam there, and you've got
Boy Scout Canyon,
you
Arizona Hot Springs.
the Arizona Hot Springs. So I've done like the Nevada side and the Arizona side. Absolutely phenomenal. You know, bit of scrambles as you're kind of going on there, and you know, hot springs. We got a lot of hot springs in Nevada too.
I wonder how many hot springs we have. Do you know?
That I don't know.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, you can find out and let everybody know. I know there's a lot.
Yeah.
You know. I know like there's places like just outside of Austin where you can stop by Austin, Nevada, you know, on your way to Fallon, and they've got hot springs right there, just right in the middle where you
Yeah, and just
you can
outside
go-
of Pahrump, they got a bunch of hot springs that you can go sit in and bathe in and stuff
Yeah.
too. Tacoma, I think it's Tacoma Hot Springs.
Tacoma,
yeah,
yeah.
they're amazing. No, Nevada is, I think Nevada is America's playground. Nevada has a lot of land. The one thing about here that's different than all the rest of the states for me
Right.
is being part of the outdoor recreation
Right.
organizations here. For me, we actually get to use the land. When I go to other states, there's
Yeah.
a lot of private land.
Yeah.
Here, most of it's BLM.
Right.
So we can actually take off for 2 days and just run through the hills, and we're not going across somebody's land, which is amazing. Whether you're on horseback, whether you're on ATV, whether you're in your Jeep, whatever it is. So I think that's one of the things that I appreciate about Nevada the most is it truly is a vast opening to go and explore.
Yeah,
right?
it's you know what, I had a new appreciation. I don't know if I would do this full time. It was kind of cold when I went in February,
Right.
but I was up in Tonopah, and Nevada, and they basically set up telescopes there, and you were able to get like astronomers giving you an interpretive experience
Right.
of what's out there. And you forget that so many of us live in these cities. Like in Chicago, you get to see 30 stars. That's the most you can see.
30 stars.
30 stars. And then you come out to Nevada, I'm like, you've got the whole constellation. As a matter of fact, we could probably name stars for you.
All
You
of
know.
space, for
Yeah.
that matter. All right. Number one, thank you for coming on.
Hey, no, it's a pleasure.
This
Yeah.
is new, this is new for us, new for me, something that I've actually been really enjoying. I think there's a lot of Nevada to explore, a lot of people that could help us get out there. Is there anything big or upcoming or something that people just need to know about with Travel Nevada, like what you're doing? Is there something exciting that people are like, I'm glad I figured that out, or I'm glad I found that out?
We got an incredible magazine. It's called Nevada Magazine. It's probably an award-winning magazine. And, you know, being in the tourism industry for so long, you see a lot of these. But, no, this is a wealth of information. You've got teams that go out there, and they're reporting all the latest particular things. There's my kind of favorites and everything. There's, like, you know, all the haunted places throughout Nevada and ghost guides.
Oh, yeah, Ross is on that, trust me.
You
He's already
know,
trying to look
you
up the
can
list.
download that information all the way up into, like, Boulder City. And, you know, there's so many places that you can turn around and go, and you can have that, be it an extraterrestrial experience that
Right.
you were asking about, the different saloons that you have.
It's a locals guide, I would say, just as much as it's a tourist guide.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a locals guide. And so, yeah, there's so much outdoors, so unique opportunities. And, you know, a few more people have discovered the outdoors. You know, when you're all pent up after the pandemic and everything, and you suddenly realize there's a lot more to do to get out there. So this is your chance to see everything's opened up, all these amazing activities, wide open spaces waiting for you. So I definitely encourage people to go out there, get a change of scenery away from, you know, the glitters of Las Vegas and the lights. Don't get me wrong, love the neon and everything.
Yeah, come stay, grab a room, but then jump outside for a day.
Yeah,
right.
go and head out and see what more Nevada has to offer.
So one final question for you,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna let you go because I know you
Sure.
have another appointment today, and I really appreciate you coming by.
Hey, no,
I
my
really do.
pleasure.
It's
I'm
been
delighted
great.
you want to give the locals a flair of what's kind of going
Yeah,
on and
because
everything.
people need to know, man. They got kids. They want to get outside.
Are
They wanna
you
do
reaching?
things.
Are you reaching travel industry folks too with this
I have
one?
no idea. We're gonna find
Okay.
out.
All right,
Maybe you
well.
could share it with a few of them.
Well, yeah, sure. There's something called the Governor's Conference, so that's the next
Oh
thing
yeah, the
coming
governor's.
up.
They're bringing back the governor's
Yeah,
conference.
they are bringing it back. So it's
Okay.
the state. It's in October,
October.
29th and the 30th.
Yeah.
Travel Nevada along. I mean, you've got Vegas, Reno, all the different entities across
Correct.
the state, all coming together. It's going to be here at the Rio Hotel.
Oh, that's going to be a blast. Okay, we're going to talk more about that specifically. I think we should get into that. I'm going to do something on that
Sure.
for you because I think that's very important. I love how involved the governor is and the lieutenant governor, and I love what they've done for the state so far. So we're going to get into that. So my final question for you is, if there was anybody you could meet
Yeah.
or anything you could do in the state of Nevada or in the state of Nevada, what would it be? Almost like a bucket list, or I really have always wanted to do this and I haven't, or what would it be?
First thing that crosses my mind is I've had an opportunity to interact a bit, but really would like to spend a lot more time with someone who would be more of a mentor to a certain degree when you see what their accomplishments are. Richard Branson.
Branson.
So yeah,
Because you're
I
from the
mean,
airline business, that makes sense.
It's from
rooted
the air.
in-
It's
rooted in you.
Okay, it's from the air. Okay, it's a bit more personal than that. It's
Okay.
from the airline business. I had the opportunity to work briefly with his team, so very briefly
Yep.
with him. But if I had a one-on-one, if
Yeah,
I had a
this.
chance to be able to like this with him and like get the ins and outs of that would be the person I would choose. Like I
That's
mean,
the creme de la
I mean, you
creme.
got the hotels, you've got the airlines,
Yeah.
you've got is it Brightline or anything? Transportation, trains. I mean, cell phone. I mean, I think he's accomplished quite a bit.
That's a great one.
My involvement with him when Virgin Atlantic launched their first plane to Vegas, I was in the Grand Canyon business and the helicopter sightseeing
Right.
businesses. I actually handled one of their biggest activities, which was their inaugural. Their inaugural flight came in. I actually whisked more 300 people to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. I had a big V laid out there, and that was to open up as to the world. They had like around 7 TV camera crews all in and everything. And so
You
it
got a
was
picture of
their
that?
announcement. Yeah, I got the picture, of course.
All right.
That was their announcement that they're launching Vegas. And then an opportunity happened. And it's amazing things, even though we have not really connected, just obviously some photo moments here and there. He's got a whole team around him.
Right.
But he came back 10 years later to celebrate the inaugural of his airplane, of his service to Vegas. And he ended up jet skiing across the fountains of Bellagio. So very unique stuff going on, you know. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I would love to be able to sit down one-on-one and see how he has reshaped the travel industry. That's an area that I'm
Yeah.
tied into, the hospitality industry, and how he's vertically aligned everything. And, you know, how do you get to where he's at? A lot of accomplishments there. So
Well,
he'd be it.
You're one of the first.
Is that what you're going to set up for me?
Yeah,
Is that
I was
how
gonna
it
say
works?
you're one of the first. So
All right.
we're gonna do what we can do. And
Hey, you get him on board
Vegas
to this
pod-
channel. I'll be right here. You tell me what you need me to do. I'll be right here.
Vegas podcast may just deliver.
Hey, that's
you
it.
never know. Robert, thank you for coming.
Hey, Chad, thanks so much for the opportunity. It's a
You're
pleasure.
the best. Thanks, everyone.